just of course of the game room, and we are in for the second game. And what's it going to be? Oh yeah, it's going to be islands. All right. Well, I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be such a big advantage as a home map for NHN, because CZ, they actually do have history of picking water maps and they are pretty good at them, especially on islands. But to be honest, it's not like you're going to be having any kind of easy games against 2K clans. So, yeah, there's that. But let's see if they're maybe having some kind of special landing strategy. And looking at the islands, what the hell is this one in the middle? First, it looks like, yeah, exactly know what I'm thinking about. And then it's actually really funny because it could allow for exactly what I was talking about, for some funny landing. Because if Laguens somehow establishes himself right in here, he's just like 2 centimeters almost away from Mango's island, from Ovenkas as well. And he's also quite close to Skull, and this is a really funny island. If they can keep this any chance and build castles like all around the shoreline in here, and especially on this spot, put like 3-4 castles all around it, that would be overdone, but still, they would be just easily controlling the water all around. And I'm definitely curious how this is going to develop, because if this isn't won somehow fast and convincingly by CZ, this might be really funny. It might be really funny indeed. Otherwise, we are looking at pretty decent corners. This is not really all that bounty somehow, or rather sometimes they are, but it's not really bad. Enough deep fish in here, especially for fast castle age. And looking at the civilizations, we are looking Byzantines, just slightly. Japanese and Vikings for NHN, and for CZ, Japanese, Mongols, and Vikings. Well, that's more standard rather than the Byzantines, but the Byzantines shouldn't be that bad either. And this corner at the top of the map could be slightly more foolish, but it's not bad. It's a pretty good amount of fishies for any kind of boom in. And Vikings in the pocket, not ideal. Usually you want them on flank, as they are going to be galley Russian, but still not really bad either. Yeah, always pocket player usually goes for fast castle. So definitely could be used in some other civilization than Vikings. But let's see how they are going to be making use of that. Otherwise, pretty nice island with triple gold mines between the opponents, so not really any kind of advantage for either of the team. Left corner, pretty bountiful, so definitely good for Skull. If he wants to go for it, as a Mongol, he could be, as he's probably going to be booming. And well, looking at, for example, the gold mine on his island, quite nice position, but the stone is quite sucky. It could be under the attack from his opponents quite easily, whereas the second stone is basically the same. And in the castle age, if they happen to lose the water, not good news for him. In the meantime, his villagers probably aiming for the dock, so it's going to be an aggressive build-up for him, not really being afraid of anything at all, as Ovenka is Viking in the pocket as well. So both teams are having pocket Vikings, and well, he is going for aggressive build-up. Definitely a lot of fishes for him, so not any kind of problem for him. The early ages. And on the front dock right now from Mango, so they are definitely thinking that they are going to be closing the game quite soon, and I wouldn't be surprised by triple galley rush at all, as they are probably going to be feeling quite confident after the first game, and they are quite probably going to be aiming to basically close the game as soon as possible. At the bottom, not all that many fishies, could be better, but since we are looking at the players not really going into defensive build-up at all, it doesn't really matter. Gold, quite alright position. Stone, Saki on the right. On the left though, that's pretty much fine. And we are looking at another island between the opponents, between Zurich's, Zuritsk and Mango, and it seems to be just 1 gold. Is better than nothing, of course, but not as great as the island on the left. And here is the Compu Zurich almost. Stone and Wood Island seem to be pretty much alright, but it could be basically considered that is NHN's. The first into Feudal Age is going to be Skull on the left, so definitely bad news for Green, for Laguens, who is going to be having to fight there quite a lot, and he is having defensive dock, which is kinda expected from Japanese. Yeah, kinda expected, of course, but not done by Mango. But here he seems to be aiming for basically a standard build-up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went for fast castle, as it kinda makes sense, and especially with the dock being at the back for Ares as well. I would really be thinking that they are not really all that interested in Galley Russian, and definitely will be curious which of those players are going to be coming for the Feudal Age army, as all three are having docks at the back of their islands as opposed to opponent CZ. A lot of villages in here, they are probably going to be forced to move quite soon somewhere else. but they are probably going to be working on basically rescuing this gold from the Fangorn forest in there. Players advancing into the next ages. Stone seems to be alright, gold as well, second stone also. And is there something interesting that we could be looking at? Probably not all that much. In the meantime, as gold seems to be quite alright for the red player as well. Stone yet again Sake, which seems to be basically the theme for this spawn of islands. Sake stone for a lot of players, but gold seems to be quite alright. Middle age for Skull and CZs, they are really advancing quite fast as opposed to their opponents, which of course is going to be pretty big advantage for CZs as opposed to the opponents, but the opponents will be having stronger economy, but it's almost looking like that Ares and Zurichs might be aiming for faster castle, whereas Laguens is kinda curiously right now slowish to the next age and with the villages as well. Right now at 21, especially considering that he's Japanese and should win the advantage from the fishing boats, but he is having how many of them? 5, all 3 NHNs, and for CZs it's going to be 4-4-3 for them. So really, just right now see that CZs are definitely aiming for the fast attacks, whereas their opponents are going for a bit more booming approach. Whereas Galley from green having a bit of fun looking around the island. Rather for blue looking around the green island. Let's switch into Skull. And he actually sees all around right now because he's sending the second galley. Right, and he's seeing how ridiculous this island actually is. I would be definitely curious what they are talking about right now. Discovering that the island is really like across half of the map, even more than that. That it's so funny spawned. And they might right now be thinking that actually this could be a pretty good opportunity for them to sneak in their opponents, as they have also seen going around the island that there are actually no houses for scouting of it. That would be quite difficult for Laguens to actually spend all that many resources on houses to scout all of this. And since he's having the scout on the left and they have seen it, not really doing all that much in there, as they are already under attack on the water, this really could be tempting for especially Mango, I would be thinking, to land there. Definitely good. Interesting for him. In the meantime, looking into the pocket player, he's having 3 dogs so far, not really going for all that many galleys so far that we see. He's having a few of those, but not really anything huge, and he's right now going to be joining Mango, who is discovering that there's really absolutely no activity from their opponents just yet, as the blue is just now with just 2 galleys getting rid of the water economy of Laguens, and it seems like that there's really not going to be any kind of opposition on the water unless, or rather, until they reach the castle ages, because that should probably be the aim for them right now. Let's go through their actual resources. Red seems to be aiming there. 500 food. Ares. Not yet. So he's going for galley rushing. Alright, so he's just basically right now waiting for his opponents to arrive in there. And unfortunately for him, he does have quite tricky berries, as they are in the range of the galley. Well, Zurich is advancing to the next age, exactly as we've seen just a bit earlier. Whereas last player, Laguens, seems to be... there is some sling going on. Zurich is actually slinging into... rather, god damn it, Laguens is landing into Zurich, into red player, into Byzantines, and... that's interesting. Is that actually going to be some kind of attempt at some fire ships or some such? That actually might be it, because they are of course Byzantines having the extra fire ship attack. And that might not be the worst kind of idea, but is it going to be enough? Because first you need to be having some kind of semblance of an activity on the water, because if you are not dealing with the galleys from galley rush of your opponent, you're of course going to be running behind on numbers quite significantly. And the numbers of CZs actually are right now getting quite dangerous, even though they are going to be dwindling at least slightly due to Ares having boats of his own. Well, it's going to be quite tricky for NHNs, but the strategy is definitely there. Castle Age going to be quite alright. 3 minutes Castle Age, bad. Not bad. And are we seeing something interesting somewhere else? Not really. Just all 3 CZs are right now at one spot, and they definitely need to be paying attention. Oh! Where is that? They have already landed. Skull has already landed at the bottom, and even though it has been scouted due to houses, Very nicely played by Laguens, and exactly what you do on islands. They are right now going to be having pretty big problems if they cannot somehow prevent this from happening. They seem to be quite alright on top of it. Even though the archers are up, the number of villages should be quite alright, especially with the watchtower coming down. And this is going to be really quite interesting because Skull is probably going to be quitting on the water battle altogether, which will mean that it will be just up to Mango and Ovenka to win against the fire ships. And that, ladies and gentlemen, might not be enough. Because of course, the fire ships are going to be quite a big problem. They are going to be the unit of choice in here. We are looking university in here, so going probably for kind of upgrades in there. Imperial Age first. Well, that's a bit confusing right now. I'll be really thinking that they will be going for the fire ships, but so far not. And in the meantime, on the left, it seems like that Skull's attempt is not going to be breaking all that much. But he still does have the transport ship, and those guys, they did not come through here. They came through the transport ship. From this position, just transport it in there. And since you cannot do anything about this as Laguens, he's just going to be really under attack all the time, because this is going to be just basically bit of a transport ship, really, bit of a ferry, that's what I was looking for, between this position and this, and well, you are not going to be running away from that, especially since this stone mine is also going to be quite easily in the range from the bottom. A lot of boats from Mangos so far not being targeted by fire ships already coming in exactly at the correct time, because right now CZs are going to be unaware what's going to happen in there, as the red fleet is just going to be building up in secret. Yellow getting pretty decent numbers, but not really going into the next age yet. And his ally, Mango, also not advancing either, rather also not advancing yet, which is not good news for them, especially with Ares having so many boats himself. So definitely a problem coming up, and it's going to be right now switching into a bit of an interesting situation, because if Skull can kill Laguens, who is the selling game player, then NHNs are probably not going to be able to survive much longer, because of course, without the extra economy in there, nothing good is going to be waiting for them, like, at all. Nicely using the galleys in here, with the tower being built as well, basically denying the stone. There's the second stone at the bottom, which means that he's out of stone to sling, and that's bad. That's of course quite bad. They want to build some kind of castles, but so far probably not really all that true. It's going to be a bit of an engagement between upgraded war galleys, or rather just galleys, not war galleys, between both of these players. But castle age coming from all three CZs. Yes, Imperial Age has just hit for Zurichs, so let's see if they are going to be fast enough with that. Just repositioning, because he's going to be right now moving from the stable, from the knights, from this position into here. This is really kind of funny. Yeah, you have walls, but I can go around them. That's exactly what Skull is right now thinking. And he has absolutely no problem with that, as Green is still losing villages, trying to build another watchtower. But yeah, not really going to be all that effective, because literally Skull can do whatever he wants, and he is going to beat villages in pretty big numbers right now, especially with the support from the water. On the water, in the meantime, this is actually a pretty good army for purple. He's having much more than his opponent, and he needs to be taking this battle on. He so far doesn't know that Ovenka is closer to Castle Age than him. Rather, he's closer that much, but he should be probably right now realizing that the numbers are pretty big, and Ovenka needs to be really careful, because if he is caught in a trap, this was looking like a pretty bad trap for him. He, of course, is not going to be winning, and I'm not exactly sure why Ares is so shy. Not only does he have big numbers, he also is fighting right next to his dog, so reinforcements of course going to be coming in, but he was probably waiting for that. And yeah, right now Ovenka is going to lose everything. Just coming into a position to catch them and stop them, and going in. Nicely played by NHNs in here. And oh well, this is going to be a massacre. This is going to be a pretty bad massacre, and very well played by NHNs, the new Hell Hunters. And they are definitely going to be making CZ join them in hell. That was very well played. But let's see if Mango is going to be responding to that, because he should be right now realizing he needs to be doing something with his opponent. So far he isn't, as we are looking at Laguens having all kinds of troubles, of course, defending against all this rushing. And this is landing from Skull, and Skull definitely isn't looking like he will be letting up anytime soon. Oh yeah, needs to be careful with the transport boat. Probably not going to be surviving. Goodbye. And this is of course not good news, as even though right now Ovenka is having War Galleys already, he will need some kind of help against all those fire ships. As with the extra attack as the Byzantine, they are going to be a pretty big problem, and yeah, let's see how this is going to develop, as at the same time, Siege Workshop is being dropped by Skull, and he does have a pretty decent number of knights already. And once he gets through this build-up house, not anything good waiting for Laguens in the game. Now finally War Galleys for Mango as well, as he's right now going to be attempting to advance through the middle and probably try to alleviate the pressure on his opponent, or rather on his ally, but definitely needs to be careful because Durix, as he was slung, is having pretty good echo and especially pretty good supply of all the extra booties to help his teammates and himself of course. War Galleys from purple in the play as well. And finally the horses are through, and they are going to be killing all the villagers from green in just no time, as green is already down to 90 villages, whereas all the other players are about 40. So he's basically at half, and it's not gonna get any better, because those villagers are gonna die pretty soon as well. As soon as Skull actually stops shooting at the house in here. Pretty decent army. But we are already hearing the Mangonel shooting at the villages in here. And otherwise, are we seeing something interesting? Not really all that much, just a lot of bows still being made, as Yellow is right now trying to... They are basically right now CZs, thinking that if they can kill Laguens, it's going to be resulting into the GG. And I kinda have to agree, even though they still have to be careful, because Zurich right now is kinda uncontested on the water. That's just one stray fish, but he's going to be contested pretty soon. You can already see the counterplay of the demo ships coming into position. But careful! As the army is already coming in. And you don't want to exactly use them this way. Yeah, that wasn't very effective. He wanted to use them against all those fire ships, but it didn't really work out for him. But he still does have pretty decent numbers. And with Dogs being right next to him, and Yellows as well, he's probably going to be helping with defense in here also. That should be quite alright, I'm thinking. It should be alright, even though it's going to be a bit costly for them, especially with the huge army. Yellow being at the top, and he can recall it at any time he pleases. In the meantime, Green's town center is off. He's in the feudal age, so yeah, he's definitely in pretty bad shape, as he's dropped to 13 villagers, 12 of them idle. And where is the one brave villager? There is actually some brave green villagers somewhere, but I don't see. But yeah, they are right now gonna get killed, the rest of them. That's going to be 8, 7, 6, 5. Oh, that was a nice shot. 5 villages. 3 are still somewhere, so they might already be transported, I don't know, with ally. I don't see them anywhere in here, so I'm not exactly sure where they actually are. But we don't see them, but that doesn't really matter, as we are looking at purple and red army through the middle, coming into basically Teal's base. And since Teal is having pretty big problems actually dealing with this issue, even though he does have some kind of boats, but with reinforcements, that's going to be just a bit too much. He will need all the help from Yellow that he can get, and he doesn't have all that much here. He's just right now scouting around the middle, slowly but surely moving into the position. But really, the water doesn't look all that great for Caesars, to be honest, and there still could be some kind of angle for NHN to win this battle, but Laguens is off, as he's having 0 villagers, so he's basically right now dead, and I'm not exactly sure why he isn't resigned, because it's not like he's having any military units. But he has Dock, that's the reason. He has Dock, and once you have Dock, you can potentially make some units, and you can see that he still does have some kind of wood, and he of course could be slung. But he doesn't have any kind of villages, so that means that he can be only potentially going for water economy and some ships if he was slung. But that's pretty much it for him, so it's going to be 2 versus 3 for NHN for the rest of the game. Pretty decent armada for Ovenka, but fire ships are definitely paying off quite well, so that was a very nice strategy from NHN. All the upgrades, carrying cartography, ballistics for the opponent, We are reaching basically the late game on the water, and it's going to be just, I'm thinking, clearer by the minute that really 3 players against 2 just going to be too much for them to handle, especially when we are looking at the skill difference in there. And transport ships already coming in, but somebody has to be careful. Oh, with the skull, goddammit. Is he even something in there? No, he isn't. But it's a bit of luck for him. But of course, he was hoping that he can actually go there and transport all the army. But he has already built the dock, and he's going to be transporting if he is allowed to. Which is not ensured like at all, because you can see the army still scouting these waters. That's exactly very well played by NHN, because they will be delaying the inevitable landing by Skull, and the longer they can do that, the better chance they actually have of somehow pushing their opponents out of the water potentially. So yeah, this game still does have at least some minutes to go on. Imperial Aegis from Olenka and Ares, so the 2 Vikings. As Yellow right now, not really doing all that much. He should probably be concentrating a whole lot more to help his teammate Mango at the bottom. And how's it looking for Mango actually? An advance? Oh, he seems to be almost aiming there. If you have a look at the research or other resources count on the left. And since really Skull cannot transport himself to the other side of the map, other side of the strait rather, he cannot do nothing else. He just basically get the score and put Laguens into oblivion. And there is unfortunately for NHN's already a landing going on the Byzantine, and that's definitely a good choice because the Byzantine is not ready for anything like that at all. He's just pumping boats as much as he can. But yeah, the water is not going to be important for CZs anymore because Mango is already over, and once the castle is dropped by a Japanese, that's of course going to be spam off samurais together with trebuchets, and of course that will spell disaster to all the red face. So that's well played. There's going to be a bit of a water battle. That will of course go quite alright, I'm thinking, for NHN, though they probably need to be a bit more careful with the micro. A demo ship coming for the kill or not? Oh yeah, coming in for the kill. And this is going to be handled by Yao in the end, but nothing really all that crucial for him because still on the waters they are doing quite alright, and it's really going to be all about if the Byzantine player can somehow defend, and he doesn't think so. So NHNs are right now clicking into the GGs, and it's going to be 2-0 for CZs, but actually very interesting fight on the island's home map for the new Hell Hunters, and they did put in a pretty good effort. But they were kinda unlucky in the positioning, because if the Japanese was in the middle as the slinging player, and Ares as the Viking was on the flank, I'm fairly certain that actually they could have had much more interesting game than they were already having. Because the sling into the Byzantine definitely worked quite alright, and CZs weren't surprised, or rather weren't prepared for that all that much. But they were just able to overpower it, because of course, landing here on the slinging player is all that easier once he is on the flank. That worked quite alright for Skull. Well done, quite nice attempt. Let's check the achievements. Yeah, probably not going to be seen all that much of a surprising stuff. Zurich's quite high score, but because of the sling. And Laguens, well, he was having a hard time, he was slinging, so makes sense. In such a low score. Not really much of his doing. 1,500, and yeah, unfortunately, since he was under attack very fast by Skull, it has to be said, he didn't even have all that much of a time to actually sling into his allies, so the sling is not all that big, but it was quite enough to actually put Zurich's into a pretty good situation. Good situation indeed. 20-minute Imperial Age, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Alright, GG.